Hello and welcome to the Piping Show from the National Piping Centre. This is actually our final show of this series, and we've got a very special treat in that the wonderful piper, composer, fiddle player, all-round great musician Malin Lewis is coming in for a chat later on, and if you hang about to the end of that, we're going to play a little tune together as well. So it's been an absolute pleasure bringing you the Piping Show from the National Piping Centre here. It's a great project that we love putting on every week, and we hope that you're getting plenty out of it and enjoying the show. So if you do like the show and you've not yet subscribed, please subscribe to our channel, where we're still running a prize when we hit the 2,000 mark. And when we hit the 2,000 subscribers mark, we will announce the prize winners. So once again, a sincere thank you to everyone who watches the show and likes and subscribes. We're finishing up for a short break now. We'll be back in May. But right now, let's go to Helen Urquhart with this week's news.
The Competition League for Amateur Solo Pipers held its latest in-person competition here at the National Piping Centre at McFater Street on Saturday the 25th of March. The overall winner in Grade 1 was Mark Warnock, in Grade 2, Donald Morrison, and in Grade 3, James Aitchison. Thank you very much to everybody who came and took part on the day. The Lowland Borders Piper Society held its annual competition on Saturday the 18th of March in Linlithgow. Norman MacLeod won the Martin Lowe Trophy for Most Outstanding Contribution to the Lowland and Borders Piping Tradition. This was the second time this trophy has been awarded. The National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland 20 Years Young concert takes place this Sunday, the 2nd of April at the Usher Hall in Edinburgh. Tickets are still available at the Usher Hall website. Piping Live opened applications for the Emerging Talent Programme for 2023. This is for young up-and-coming artists to give them a chance to feature in the programme for the festival. You can find out full information at www.bagpipe.news. Piping Live is also looking for pipe bands to apply now to take part in its Buchanan Street events. Please email marketing@thepipingcentre.co.uk for full information about this opportunity. The National Piping Centre Surrey School takes place this weekend at Gordon's School in Woking. There will be a public recital on the evening of Saturday the 1st of April. Tickets will be available on the door for this event, or you can get them online now from our website.
Hello there. Coming to you today from the museum here at the National Piping Centre, where I've gone into our exhibits and pulled out two sets of pipes to show you. Now, both of these pipes are related to today's guest, Malin Lewis. Malin played when both of these sets were donated to the Piping Centre in 2019. Looking at the set on the right here, this is the original prototype for the Lindsay system, which is a chanter system that allows the player to get one note shy of 3 octaves. However, what's maybe the coolest thing about this bagpipe is that it's 3D printed. Now, it was printed in 2014 using printing equipment that would have been available at home, which wasn't of the highest standard at that time, and so all the parts were printed and then finished by hand. The only part that wasn't hand finished is the bulb of the chanter here, where you can still see the roughness from the 3D printing. Just as a side note, there's a tassel on these pipes, and this was tied on by the Gyuto monks of Tibet in a spontaneous ceremony where they blessed the pipes. Going over to the pipes on the left, this is a set of pipes that were made in 2018 and were also 3D printed. And just to share a funny story, when I was speaking to Paul, our cinematographer, before we were filming this, I said, oh, these pipes are 3D printed. And he said, oh, and he was looking at these, and I said, they're 3D printed as well. And he was really shocked because they look almost identical to a set of wood-turned bagpipes. However, that just shows the development in the technology from 2014 to 2018, and even to the sort of level where the structure of this plastic is granular and similar to boxwood. So it's a great proof of concept for the future of being able to 3D print bagpipes. Just one more connection to Malin here. This boxwood mount on these pipes was turned by Malin on Skye during a heat wave, and that's where these pipes got their name, the Sunny Pipe. Both these pipes are on permanent display in our museum here at the National Piping Centre if you'd like to come in and see them. If you'd like to read more about these pipes, there is an article about them that was published in the March of 2019 Piping Today magazine. This is the final episode of this season of the Piping Show. I'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody for tuning in and all the kind words I've received about these history segments, and I look forward to seeing you all again in May.
So, Malin, good to see you.
Hello.
And well done for getting here. I believe you had a puncture on your bike this morning, and it's also chucking of rain in Glasgow, so well done for getting here. And thanks for coming in to the Piping Show. This is our last programme of this series, so it's great to have you in. And I know you're one of the busiest musicians out there at the moment, so we like to just usually start off by asking how you got into it. How did you get into piping?
So I grew up in Adnamurchan, and then I went to the Isle of Skye, and I was just in school and I was very bored. So I'd been homeschooled for the first few years of my life, and then I got to school and there was a few months of it was good, and then I just found it super boring. And my mum kind of had to convince me to stay. So she was like, what can we do to keep you interested, basically? So I took up chanter lessons there with Ian Finlayson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it was totally just fell in love with it, and that was me taking off. I'd always kind of been around piping because I grew up around like Charlie McFarlane and Ian McFarlane.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we used to go there at New Year and things.
Brilliant, yeah.
So it was kind of there around, like I didn't, it was a bit subconscious, it kind of came, but
yeah.
I
remember, I think the first time you met, you must have been pretty young on a summer school, or one of the schools here at the Piping Centre.
I came here to get some lessons with you because I was applying to Plockton.
That's
so I
right.
must have been about 15 or something.
I remember by taking, were you not on one of the schools as well? Or?
I think it was just the...
Was it just lessons, yeah? And you were making pipes at that time as well, and I remember thinking like, somebody of like 15 who's making their own pipe, because you had your own instrument that you'd made, So how, are you still doing any of that, is that?
So yeah, I started like I finished my first set when I was about 14, I think, and then still making them. I've just mostly been working on the Lindsay system chanter and making that in wood, because that's been a whole new world, and I kind of feel like not everyone can make bagpipes, but it's that thing of like there are lots of people making them, whereas there's something really exciting about making a new instrument that nobody else is, apart from Donald Lindsay, who's 3D printing them, and Zeshwan. There's not a lot going on, so it's really exciting kind of developing this instrument, and I don't know, you learn so many new things with it. It's not the tiniest minute things, it's like, how can we get another octave out of this instrument? Yeah,
right, there's pretty major stuff. We might come back to that, but so you went to Plockton, and was it last year you graduated?
Yeah.
Yep,
almost a year.
From the RCS,
yeah.
So how was that for you in terms of your kind of development as an artist? Because, probably safe to say you've not gone down the kind of very conventional piping route.
Yeah.
So how was it for you coming here and studying at the RCS?
It was super cool. I mean, obviously, I was in Plockton for 2 years before that, and there was a lot of amazing music going on there, but there wasn't necessarily the kind of social community outside of that. You were stuck with your 16 musicians every single day, basically. So coming to Glasgow was amazing, and the RCS, and especially the Piping Centre, has been super amazing. I loved all the time here, and I also went and studied abroad in Finland during that time, and I learned Finnish bagpipes there and kind of Finnish folk music in general. And that was an incredible experience through Erasmus, that I got to experience such a different culture and a different world, and a lot of what I'm doing now kind of came from that, like a lot of improvisation and almost theatre stuff that I work in now. It came a little bit from that work, and it just changed all my perspectives in that way. Yeah,
it's interesting. I think you talk about improvising, and I think especially for pipers, but I guess a lot of traditional musicians see that almost as a bit of a scary thing of improvising, because we're usually so kind of tune based, and we've got this brilliant tradition of playing tunes that are fairly fixed, and we might have some wee stylistic things or ornamentation things that individuals would develop in a different way. But how have you approached the whole improvising thing with pipes, and is it always pipes you use, or?
No, not at all. I use many instruments, and I also use just like found objects, like a bottle or something, or a piece of metal from the road. But I guess improvising on the pipes, I always approach with the idea of just like raw sound, so like just the timbre, and just the sheer noise of them, the drones and the harshness of the chanter, and just experimenting with like different uses of that. So mostly I'll approach it from kind of a drone-based thing, like sometimes detuning drones to get that like wow 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 wow, and using that as like a rhythmic thing almost. And then obviously there's other times where it's like turn the drones off and then just use the chanter as like all of a sudden you've got this instrument that you can start and stop, which you don't get most of the time.
What a luxury, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine being able to stop.
And then also using electronics with the bagpipes. So the pipes that I made, the Lindsay System small pipes, they've got microphones built inside them. So I put that all through effects pedals, and you can put it through Ableton and things. And then you can affect it live and make them into any sort of noise you want. So that's a big part of that improvisation stuff.
Sounds cool. And it's a good time for you to come in because you're making an album.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that's going to be like? Who's on it? What's the journey of it? What's your process been, and where are you at with it?
Yeah, I guess it's been about 4 or 5 years in the making. When I first came to Glasgow, I started playing. I essentially made my own band, and it's pretty much stayed pretty consistent and the same since then. And yeah, finally, after leaving uni, I've been able to apply for some Creative Scotland money, and I'm successful with that, so super grateful to them. And we're sort of in the process of making it right now. There's about 6 or 7 musicians on it in total. I say that because it's not quite finished and there might be more. So there's myself on small pipes and fiddle and whistle, and then there's Luke McNally on bouzouki, Stu Brown on the drums, Maya Kauhanen on the kantele, which is an incredible Finnish instrument, and she's a super cool singer from Finland that I met there. Matthew Hurd on saxophone, and Cammy Maxwell on the double bass.
Cool, sounds great. And what's
big sound?
I know it's hard to kind of always describe music, but what's been your process for it? Is it kind of improvisation based? Is it tune based? Or bits of both?
It's pretty tune based. There's little bits of weirdness in it and improvisation. It started, I guess the catalyst for this was New Voices. So for Celtic Connections this year in 23, I got commissioned to do a New Voices, which is a kind of a 45 to an hour long piece for up to 7 musicians. And I just wrote, most of it was new, some of it was the older stuff that I rearranged for a bigger band. But that kind of got me to get a kick up the ass basically and write all this stuff. So it was a few months of just sitting in my room and writing on MIDI and sort of scoring everything out. And then we got together for a couple of days to rehearse it, and then we did the gig. And then that was a really nice sort of, we had all the demos essentially and could tweak little things, and then got into the studio with Andy Bell. He's an amazing producer that was super, super lucky to be working with. He does all of like Queen's stuff, Queen Paul Watt, and Sugar Nifty and Bella Head and things like that. So he's pretty...
safe hands there, eh?
Yeah, and that was amazing. So I guess in terms of the music, there's some weirder tunes, there's some 11/8 stuff, there's reels, there's moments that are free, quite a lot of slow airs that are totally free. And it's kind of, I don't know, I'm waiting to hear back the first mixes right now, so I think I know what it sounds like, but it's going to come back and it's going to not sound like that anymore.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's always a kind of weird time that where you kind of laid down the basics of the tracks and stuff, and then you're waiting to hear what comes back, because I always find that how you feel something went or sounded can be quite different from how it actually sounds. And but so in terms of that that process, it's probably quite interesting for people to know, like, how are you recording? Are you kind of set arrangements, or is there a bit more freedom for kind of live takes? Are you doing live takes? Are you kind of overdubbing lots? Or?
So we were in the studio in the big room in Glowworm in Glasgow, but we've all got individual rooms. So everything was scored bar a couple of improvisations. That's chords and bass lines and arrangements and things. It was all kind of set out, and then the one person I didn't do anything for was Maya. Not because I didn't think she needed it necessarily, but no, but as in she I just gave her free will basically and just said, I just trusted her to know that whatever she did would be good. So we set everything down and we're in individual rooms, so it means if anything wanted to be changed, we've got total isolation between each other. So it's played live together, but you can edit it individually. Yeah. And then we sent it all to Maya and she just put down all this stuff herself and it was amazing. And yeah, I think we might get a bit of trombone or something on it as well to kind of zhuzh it up a bit.
Yeah, zhuzh it up, that's great. No, I'm really looking forward to hearing it because I've loved your music for a long time and I think I know you'll be kind of creating a really cool special sound, so good luck with that. Are you out playing it? Have you got any gigs coming up?
So we just had a little tour of about 4 gigs and then we should be doing a tour from about August onwards that will be all over the UK. And then hopefully start touring Germany and Denmark and things in 24, I hope.
Brilliant.
And there's also a Kickstarter just now going on. So there's about 10 days left, I think, on it.
Okay, well, tell us about that. We can go to find that. Yep.
Yeah, so we got Creative Scotland money to do the kind of bulk of the studio work, but there's still like loads of other costs involved. So we're at about 6,000 just now and need to get 2 more thousand. So fingers crossed.
Well, tell us where we can find that.
So there's a Kickstarter and it's just Malin Makes Music debut album, Hallow Klein. And that's, if you just Google that, you'll find it. So we're just looking to get that last bit to just make it all happen and make it work the best it can.
Good stuff, and I'm sure we'll see you playing in Glasgow sometime soon.
Hope so.
And yeah, that's been great just to chat about what you're doing at the moment, and good luck with the new album and everything you're doing.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Hi, this is the last in this series of the piping show, so it's cool to get a wee tune. And I guess we first played this tune together when we were doing lessons and stuff. Yeah. And it's the tune by Marek.
Taltz.
What's his second name?
Taltz.
Taltz, who's a great guitar player from Estonia. And I was out there doing some gigs with him, and as you know, I kind of learned this tune from him. He wrote it in the guitar. It's a lovely tune. And I remember thinking when we were doing some stuff together, it'll sound really nice on the Extended Range chanter. So. Yeah. We'll give it a go, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's called You Are Not Alone, isn't it?
Not in a sinister way, I think. Just
I was expecting the Michael Jackson song.